I can't hear you. You're on mute. Mute.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
I'm just talking. The last time I didn't have it, and we're live by the way.
Hey,
The last
everybody.
the last time I didn't have it muted when I listened to the replay, I could hear like my daughter in the background, the dog, like before we got started.
I so don't worry about that stuff. I mean, that's why the door is closed here. So-
That's funny. I didn't think that people could hear. I don't know why, unless I was like, you can see my face on the screen, but I guess so.
That's why I use these. Seriously, it is because these are, I mean, and they're not like fancy like Bose or anything like that. They're just straight Logitech, but they will kill out sounds. I had roofers today, and no one I talked to heard them.
Oh wow.
And of course, it detracts from, but I mean, it's huge whenever you want to stay focused and you don't want people to hear background noise or whatever. And headset's beautiful. So
So I have my mic.
it's
That's
awesome.
what I use because I'm always thinking about the audio quality of like my voice.
I wondered how your quality was so good without you having like this. So,
Yeah, I always have a mic. I have one that I put on my clothes too. So if I'm like standing up away from the screen or whatever. But yes, so that's why. But no, I like the headphones, and I didn't think about canceling out the other noise, which
hmm
they always seem to
yep.
get loud when I'm recording.
Well,
So
and I don't know that Dan knows me, but I listen to a lot of his stuff, and he always has a mic like this, like a headset.
he
And
does.
I think it's not just to keep you from being distracted; it's because other people can't hear what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a good point. I'm
hmm
thinking about my voice, but I'm not thinking about the other sound. Um, yeah. Which they claim that this mic that I have now is supposed to only pick up like the voice in the vicinity, but maybe I need a fancier one. I don't know.
I don't know. How do you know that? I mean, how does it know? I mean, if it's hearing noise that you're not, I don't know. I mean, I guess there's intelligence in it, but
Yeah, at least on my phone, that mic is really good because
yeah.
it'll pick up like my voice, but not the surrounding stuff so much. So it has to be some technology. But
Hmm.
yeah, we just had a whole conversation. Well, hey everybody. So happy to see you. Happy Wednesday. And I see Alicia already said, woohoo. I was waiting for my favorite live and local
Aw,
LinkedIn talk show.
so
Aw.
cute. So,
Thanks,
she's gonna miss
Alicia.
us. This is our last one scheduled unless we do another one.
It is, which I keep saying I'm gonna text you or call you so we can figure that out. Because a lot of people have said that they really like this and they wanted to keep going and talked about other topics that we can bring up, which we've talked about other topics too.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And I tagged you today in the IAOCR. They've got this sequence going that people should sign up for. It's for free. I mean, there's like 3 different
I just
webinars that
saw that
they're
right before I
doing.
got on. Yeah. That seems
Yeah.
really good. Let me see if I can copy the link and put it in the chat, unless you have it.
Or I can find it probably really quick, but now this is global, y'all. This is like a big deal, and the really cool thing about it is that it's addressing a lot of the topics that we're dealing with now, and it's bringing in different individuals from all across the industry globally. So you're not just getting Angela and Jasmine's perspective on it. You're getting a lot of other. And I noticed Jasmine Barnes. She's so stinking cute. She's going to be the speaker on the first one,
I
but
saw that.
like multiple speakers on all of these, and I think it's a terrific idea. I'll see if I can find it real quick. But I love it because the one that we're talking about, the one that I'm in is, which is the second one. I think it's the end of August. It's actually talking a lot about what we're talking about now, but that's where they're actually going to take, I hope, a live session to where we look at a resume, and I don't know that they'll
Mm.
dive deep because it's a webinar and I'm like one of like 4 speakers. I still think we should do that. And Randall, bless his heart, he was so stinking cute. He gave us full permission to do his, to kind of talk about what it looked like before and what we changed and how it looks now. And
Mhm.
then we should be able to see where he's landed his dream job and talk about it.
No, we get no, I've been meaning to get back with you about that too. No, I really want to do that because then people can see everything that we've talked about, how it comes together in real life.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
so yes, we can schedule that one for sure. Um,
How do I put this? So I just put it in the comments? Let me see. I'm gonna put it in the private chat, and that way you can share it because I don't know that I can. But there you go.
okay.
That is the one that I reposted. That's for the IAOs. Y'all, it's free to sign up. But if you decide you want to take any of their accreditation courses or the certifications or whatever, if you sign up for those webinars, you get 10% off.
And for the people that don't exactly know what we're talking about, explain what this series is about, just like a little summary.
So the IAOCR is the European equivalent to the ACRP. That's about as simple as I can make it. And their focus is on driving competency as it relates to not only defining the competency in different roles within clinical research coordinating and project management and CRAs and all that, but also a career path. They're the ones that I'm working with, and I have not sent you that link yet, but I will, on identifying which certifications are valid and which ones might not be, and how do you do a career path, and how can you break in, and all of those types of things as well. And they partner with different organizations across the globe, and one of them is a task force out of the African continent, and they're one of the ones that's very
Mm,
heavy into what's going on. Karen is actually one of the ones that's speaking in the first one and the second one, and
mm,
she's a member of that task force, and she's very involved in helping to drive diversity across clinical research, as far as Black women in clinical research, etc. But then also the competency base and helping to help you understand, if you're a job seeker, how do I get where I want to go?
yeah,
Right?
yeah. No, that's good. That's really, really good. And it's several days, right? Like 4 or 5
Mhm.
days?
Yeah, but it's not like crammed into a seminar. But yes, it's like 3 different webinar programs, and I don't know how. I didn't pay attention to the dates. I just signed up for the one that I was doing. So I'm not really sure. But the link is there, and then folks can kind of take a look at it and see what they want to do. But it doesn't cost you anything to sign up. They're live sessions. I would totally do it. It's a great way to network. You can see who else has signed up. You can use a tool like Duck Soup or something like that to scrape whoever's on there. Those of you who are job seeking, it's a great way to nurture your network, build one, people globally. I mean, because don't underestimate, just because someone's in a different country, it doesn't mean they're not going to like get you where you need to go.
Yeah. No, seriously. Wow. Well, yeah, y'all check that out. I dropped the link in the comments, so you should be able to see it if you're on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. I see all three now.
Mhm.
Okay, awesome. And then I see Janita, she says happy Wednesday. Mara says happy Wednesday. Yeah, let us know where you're joining us from, everybody that's listening. Um, I'm in Wake Forest, North Carolina. I don't think we ever said where we're located, did we?
What, you and me?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm in Florida. I'm in hurricane season. Hot. That's the reason why my hair's like this today. I got caught in a rainstorm.
It's
No
been like
straightening
all
is going
over.
to happen here.
It's been all over the place here. Like it's kind of like that Florida weather where it's like sunny and then it's like black and then the next hour is sunny. It's been like that the last couple weeks.
Yeah, I went out for a walk at lunch. It was gorgeous. And then I was like halfway around, and then God just opened up the heavens, and it was like, I was like-
Yes.
I
That's
see Miss Mar is online. Mar, hey, sweetheart. So good to see you online.
yes, and she says she's in Miss Mars says she's in New York City. And then someone I can't see the name. I don't know why it does that to us. But they say they're in San Francisco. Hi. Um
They must
Someone
have
else,
their LinkedIn blocked, maybe, or you're not connected. Hmm.
maybe so.
Hmm.
Someone else says North Augusta, South Carolina, Saskatoon, Canada, Atlanta. Um,
It's hump day.
it's hump day. Yep. Mar says hi, Angela. Yes. So we have a good variety. The West Coast, the East Coast, even further up north in Canada. So yay. Yay. So today is Secret Service.
Entrepreneur Day.
Yeah. She was ever a professional woman. Which men that are listening, this is for you too. This applies to
Absolutely.
both.
Yes. Well,
Um,
it's the same, isn't it? Well, there's a few gender type things that we can talk about today where women are looked a bit differently than men whenever they're trying to become entrepreneurs. But I think a lot of that has to do with here rather than there, and we can talk a little bit about that. But overall, becoming a business owner is tough either way, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Hmm.
And this might even be a topic that we could come back and bring full circle
Hmm.
and bring in
Yep.
like Dan from the site's perspective.
That's a great idea because he
Um,
has totally done it over and over and over again.
yeah, yeah. So with that being said, when people think about entrepreneurship, they don't really a lot of times think about our industry, or they think that
Hmm.
they have to always be a full-time W-2 employee, right?
Yeah.
So, is that true? Can you be an
No,
entrepreneur and still do the
no.
clinical research?
Well, and I think that I love working with individuals who've made the decision to be an independent, and I'm going to call them entrepreneurs because there's something to be said for stepping out on faith and just
Yeah,
going and doing it. You
yeah,
know, there's a commitment to what there's a commitment to what you say you're going to do and how much you're going to accomplish as well. Because I think a lot of people who were building their own company realize that their brand is theirs to build or lose.
yep,
Hmm.
yep. So true.
Hmm.
So true. And even you on the recruiter side, building this whole, company, this whole empire. I know you don't like think about it like that, but you have, even with your co-owner, but still it's this whole huge, amazing company. And then people like Dan who have sites. A lot of people think you have to be a PI or a physician to own a
Hmm.
site. But all of that counts in the entrepreneurship world too, right?
It does. You can learn how to do anything. The skills of it's just like learning how to be a CRA as it relates to learning how to manage TMFs or doing source data verification or whatever. There's hard skills and there's soft skills. And when you're doing entrepreneurship, I think you have to lean more into the gumption and the soft skills. And the first step really is to understand what you don't want. As
Yeah,
it relates to, really articulate what it is that you're doing right now that you no longer want to do. Who is it that you no longer want to be? How do you not want to behave anymore? Or
yeah,
what do you not want to do as it relates to your actions or what have you? And, whenever I decided to partner with Roger to start this business, and there was actually a third partner that we had to litigate out because
hmm.
well, that's a whole other discussion. But whenever we started dreaming and scheming about this partnership, I was working with IBM, and I'm going to tell you right now, it's the best company in the universe. IBM is so awesome. There's no glass ceilings. Any woman that ever wants to be in IT that wants to work there was promoted every 18 months. It was awesome.
Wow.
And but at some point, you're putting everything in. And whenever I left there, I was working 100-hour weeks, which is not unusual for even this industry, especially if you're passionate about what you're doing. I booked 100,000 air miles
Wow.
per month because I was I was traveling globally. I mean, I had 17,000 people reporting to me across the
Wow.
globe, and I had all kinds of crazy meetings. And the individual that I reported to, God love her, she could not. She thought that I was being rebellious because I would have a meeting in Bangalore and I couldn't be in Brazil the next morning for a meeting. I'm like, baby doll, it takes 27 hours to get there.
That's just math.
It's not physically possible. But you get there, you get to that point, and whenever you get to that point where no matter how good the company is and how well they've taken care of you, when you start realizing that they're not paying you enough,
Yeah. And then it
you
also, at a certain point, the money doesn't matter either, right? It's all
exactly.
about
That's the
the
point. It's like
yeah,
there's no amount of money that's going to keep me here. And
yeah.
that's really what I mean by they're not paying you enough because, as much as I love that company, I had shifted from one division to another, and the division that I had shifted to was the leadership wasn't as supportive, the division wasn't as supportive, and
Hmm.
I was just like, "Ugh," as much as I have put into this company. And at one point I saved the company in the Lean and Six Sigma programs over $40 million.
Oh, wow.
40 million. My bonus that year was 8 grand. Now that's a pretty terrific bonus, but I had saved them $40 million.
Right. Not no, not for
And I'm thinking
that.
to myself, you know what? If I put this into my own company, if I win, I win. If I lose, I lose. Am I willing to take that risk? You have to start looking at what you don't want anymore, right? And for me, I was very lucky. I found a partner in Raj, and he was a vice president of his company. We were like, we can go make this happen. And we did it, and it wasn't easy to do. I'm not going to say it is, but whenever you're looking at those individuals that are trying to decide whether or not to leave a permanent job and go 1099, it's not always easy. You might have kiddos, you got college funds to worry about, you got, I mean, it's not even just the mortgage payment, it goes beyond that, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, you're thinking about that, right? So I mean, it really becomes a big beast in a way.
Yeah. Yeah, and that is what a lot of times scare people away, right? From
Mhm.
taking that leap, that step.
Yep, exactly. But are you okay staying where you are? I mean, that was my whole thing. I mean, am I going to really live with this for, I mean, how long? I was 40 years old. I mean, I'm like, oh my God, I feel like I'm 70. How long am I going to do this for someone else? And so then if you decide to do it, you got to learn how to set goals. And we've talked about this before. Goals are important, aren't they?
Yes, everything. How do you get to where you wanna go if you don't even know where you wanna go?
That's it. Otherwise, you just kind of drifting along.
Yep.
So, and
Yep.
goals are spiritual to me. I don't know that people take goals seriously enough. I mean, you coach. What do you think?
I don't think so, because especially with career coaching, the first thing they're like, "I'm just trying to get a job." Like, what why are we talking about
Well,
what
honey, you can go work at Walmart and get a job. I mean, there's what do you want to do?
right? That's a lot of people's approach, but to no fault on their part because again, we're not really taught to think like this, right?
Especially not women. Yeah.
Especially not women. And it doesn't
Mhm.
matter your level of education either. It could be high school, you could have a master, you can go to get a doctorate degree, and they're still not having these conversations.
I agree. No, I absolutely agree. But there's no reason why that should stop you.
And thank you. Great point. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
because we are all supernatural. We just know how to tap into that. And the first step is establishing what it is that you want and feeling like you deserve it. And then once you've set that goal, being able to articulate it clearly, and it's not just about spouting it out verbally. You got to write it down. I mean, writing it down is the biggest thing because
Yep.
everyone has different dominant perceptual modalities. I mean, you see better or you hear better or you do
Yep.
better or whatever. Writing it down is kind of like envelops all of it, right? And being able to set that goal in stone, and it can be and you have to be careful of the verbiage too.
Yep.
Whenever I tell people to write down their goals, it's like, for example, we always tell people to set dates. I want to weigh 128 pounds on or before. you know, I mean, it's how you set those dates. It's the on or before so many dates, or, or I want to accomplish this by this date, or something better. I want to be a CRA or something better. Let's look at it this way. So if you're setting a goal and you say, I want to weigh 128 pounds. So, do you really want to weigh 128 pounds or do you want to weigh 128 pounds or less? How hard is it for your body to weigh exactly 128 pounds versus 128 pounds or less? Right? So
Yeah.
I mean, the devil's in the details. You got to be very detailed. It's like on or before, at least this, and better or nothing. I mean, there's way that you as a coach can help people write those goals out. We actually have a blog post that speaks to that as well, because I think it's important when you're setting those goals, you need to write them down.
You do. And the biggest thing also that I find, and I started the book by the way.
Oh, Dr. Joe,
Mhm.
what do you think?
I think it's amazing, which I
I've
have.
signed up. My husband and I have signed up for his online class, and I think we're going to go do one of his little seminar
Well,
things.
I try not, to have our little side conversations live. But I was gonna ask you, did you want to do one live next year, like the week workshop? Because it seems like
I'm
all of
totally
the
going to do one. Yeah, I don't want to do one in September because it's hurricane season. Because I'm afraid they or us will be there in
Well, no,
September.
all the ones for the rest of the year seem like they're sold out anyway. So I was
Oh,
gonna
are they?
ask
Yeah, I
you,
didn't go
yeah,
look.
about
Yeah.
2024. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, we can talk about that later. Yeah, I think it's wonderful, y'all. It's the
Yeah.
book by Dr. Is it Joe?
It's Joe Dispenza, and
Yeah.
he's written several books. I've read his placebo effect too. You are the placebo. If you guys in clinical research, before you jump into becoming supernatural, because it's very scientific, do the you are the placebo, and it's going to raise your awareness because you live in this universe and it's so crazy. You guys, I've healed myself of eczema.
Oh wow. Wow. But
So
no, I bring it up because I find that most of the people's problems is their
it
thoughts.
is. Yeah.
And it always goes back to your thoughts. The group that I just started, the group coaching jumpstart, that
Yeah.
program that we
Yeah. I'm so
started,
glad you started that. That's
that's what
awesome.
we started on, was thoughts.
Mhm.
And I had everybody to kind of put out all of their current thoughts. And it's a lot of limiting beliefs, and it's
Self-destructive
a lot.
talk.
As a matter of fact, I have, let me see, I think I still have them up. But these are the types of things that really block your success, that I don't think people think about, right? Everybody's always like, "Oh, I need a resume, or I need a LinkedIn profile, or I need all this stuff," when you really just need to change your thoughts. So
Mhm.
these are some of the things that they came up with during the coaching call. So I need a certification. I don't have the monitoring experience specifically. I don't market myself well. I need oncology experience. I don't know what to do. I don't have a science background. I'm not a social media person. It's hard to get noticed. I'm going in circles. My experience is not enough. I think my resume sucks. My LinkedIn is a dumpster fire. That was one of them.
Dumpster fire. I've
Dumpster
seen those.
fire.
I've seen
And then there's another page of them. So
so,
yes, these are the thoughts that are running through people's head. When you think about how important our thoughts are, of course you aren't getting the results you want, right?
yeah, and Jesse just and I love you, Jesse. I thank you for always showing up and always asking great questions. Love that question. Yes, he does, because here's the thing. Rejection, seeing it as a rejection is a blocker. And I
It is.
know you participated in that discussion. It's a belief. Just because someone else doesn't want it or want you doesn't make you any less of anything. It just means that you're not matching their, and what Dr. Joe's books talk about, and I don't know how far you are in the book, but it talks about where you can elevate your emotional. So if you're always worried and you're always stressed and you're always expecting the worst, then there's a brain wave that kind of follows
Yeah,
that. But whenever you're happy and you're joyful and you're grateful, grateful is like the best thing you can do every day. Get up and do your grateful list, because I mean, you're going to find things to be grateful for. I mean, you can put your foot on the pedal to get to the freaking bank if you need to. I mean, there are things that you can be grateful for, but you've got to practice that to get that elevation, because then you're going to match energy with energy, and people aren't going to reject you anymore because they see something in
yeah,
you. But if you're expecting the rejection, and there's a law of attraction out there, y'all, and I'm not saying, Jesse, you attracted rejection, but you attracted rejection, baby. I mean, there it is, what it is. And you got to learn how to navigate that to where you're now attracting acceptance.
yeah,
And these books, I mean, this is why I hunger for books all the time, is because it's a way to be able to break into that quantum field, and that there's something more than where the three dimensions that we live in. And no one understands that. You know that science has proved there are 12 dimensions?
I didn't know that.
12 dimensions.
I didn't know that.
We live in three dimensions, because there's a lot more to it, and it's about getting your brain to the point to where you love yourself and you know you're awesome and you have something to be able to contribute. But you know what, you got to write it down. What is it that you're contributing? What is it that you want to achieve? How are you going to get there? Because if you're not clear and you're incoherent, then all you're doing is like waves crashing on a seashore. No one can understand what that means. They might think it's beautiful, but that doesn't mean that it does anything for them.
Yep. Yep. 100%. And Alicia says, I had to pivot my mindset. Okay, you rejected me. That just means another company will pick me with no issues.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Or why did you reject me? What was it? You have to do a self-assessment too, don't you, Alicia? I mean, you got to look at, what is it that you rejected me for? Is it you or is it me?
right.
Sometimes it's them. I mean, we talked about blockers with hiring managers before to where perhaps they feel a little intimidated or, what have you. I mean, that does
Yeah,
happen as well. Now, that doesn't mean every time you get rejected is the hiring manager's fault, but I mean, you have to really assess it.
yep, yep. Mar says, I am awesome. It is now written down. Yes, Mar, you are awesome. And Amber says, I need the eczema healing solution. Get
Oh
the
my
book.
gosh, right? Yeah,
I'm
get the
gonna
book. Start with the placebo effect.
let me find
Dr. Joe
it.
Dispenza, Dispenza. He is awesome. He does meditations on YouTube. You can buy them on his website for $20. I'm telling you, my life is. I've always followed people like Joe Vitale, Stuart Lichtman. I mean, all of these beyond positive thinking people and all this stuff. But this guy he's really hit my radar big time.
Mhm. I really like it. I'm on chapter 5 now, and I always get the audio, but I also have to have the actual book because 'cause I'm like a study note
My
taker.
husband's like that too. He likes to listen to it while he's reading it.
Yeah, so I got the 3 combo set as, like, the paper the paper books. And then I also got the audio, so
I
I'm a
love that. Then you can listen to it in the car. And
I
every
do.
time you hear every time you hear it, his supernatural book, I have it on YouTube. And you can get a lot of this on YouTube, you guys. Somebody else is reading it. It's not Joe, but it's still the book. But listen to it. Listen to it on Sirius XM. I mean, listen to it in your car. Hook your iPhone up to it and, whatever, and make sure that you're hearing it as you drive somewhere. And it'll start absorbing. It makes a huge difference.
It will, and I think people everybody's not a reader. I try to remember that. Um, but you can listen to it on audio. So I got You Are the Placebo, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, and then Becoming Supernatural.
He also did, I think his first one is What the Bleep. I think that's what
Oh,
started making him famous. So here's the story about this guy, right? He was a chiropractor and he was like 20 something. He's like 6 years older than me, which makes him 60. So, but he was in a triathlon and an old woman hit him with her car, broke his back and several I mean, he was like doomed. He healed himself with meditation.
Oh,
That's his
wow.
story, and then he became epigenetic neuro I mean, he's like a scientist, I mean, every neuroimmunology, whatever you wanna call it, he is, and this stuff is the real deal, you guys, but it will help you get beyond your blockers, and it will enable you to be able to realize that you are a divine creator and you can make yourself an entrepreneur. You don't have to wait for someone to give it to you.
You don't. And Jesse says Atomic Habits is also a really useful book. I got that one too, Jesse.
I'll have to write that one down and look at it. I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, that's another good one. It is. Um, I'm like a book. Well, I say I'm a book connoisseur, but I also read them. I don't just collect them. But my daughter says I'm just a hoarder. I'm not a hoarder.
My husband, whenever we finally moved into this house, books, boxes and boxes. And he was like, oh my God. We kept unboxing books. And he's like, what the hell? And I was like, you always said I was smart, baby. How did you think I got this way?
But no, like, but and then I feel like now with everything going digital, I'm paranoid that they're gonna stop selling paper books, which
I love to have it in my
I
hand
have to
though.
have it in paper. So
Yeah.
now I feel like I gotta say, like, buy every book that might be useful because who knows, and they might just go away one day,
Well,
and
I
I
do
can't do
Kindle too.
digital.
I keep waiting for my Kindle to blow up though, because I got so much on it. But I read a couple of books a week. But that is also a testament of entrepreneurs because that's the other thing that I want to tell you guys out there that are trying to start a business. It's not just about knowing how to build taxes or do your taxes and like build a business as it relates to marketing yourself. You got to figure out how to motivate people. You got to figure out how to work your own blockers. You've got to self-assess constantly, constantly, constantly so that you can improve. I mean, it's you've got like you're not just building a business, you're building like 4 or 5 businesses, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, and even for the people that when I want people to when they hear the entrepreneur term to not just think, "Oh, I applied for an LLC or S corp," but also think of even if you're a W-2 employee, think of yourself as an entrepreneur because
Agreed. Yeah.
you still have to treat your career as a business. You still have to operate as a business owner, if you wanna have any success. So everything that you
Mhm.
just said, y'all, it applies to even if you're just trying to get a promotion, that still applies.
I
You
would
still have
agree.
to do those same things.
Yeah, because if you treat yourself even as a W-2 as an entity, you will grow your brand tenfold.
Yep, and that's key.
Mhm.
That would be key because then now you're creating visibility, you're getting noticed,
Yeah.
you're making hopefully, now making connections,
And your company
networking.
doesn't want to lose you. And
Exactly.
whenever people go to other companies, they take you.
Exactly, and
Mhm.
that's, like, the best thing, right? If somebody's
Mhm.
leaving, they've getting promoted, and then they're like, "Hey, I really wanna bring you with me in this role." Like, those are some of the easiest ways, which
Mhm.
I want people to get out of thinking that they have to just submit all these applications and hope for the best, and they have no control, and it's just like a hope and a wish.
It is control, but it's inspiration by the divine because you have a clear intention. You have to have a clear intention first.
You
What is
have
it that
to.
I want to achieve?
You have to, and then
Mhm.
align those your thoughts with that goal.
And then act on the inspirations that you get.
Yes, that's another thing. Don't
Mhm.
have an idea, "Oh, I'm gonna go to that networking event," and then last minute, "Oh, you got an excuse, I'm too tired," or "I need to wash clothes," or, like, all the excuses come up, right? Because your brain is gonna try to keep you safe. It's gonna try to say, "Oh,
Well,
what
I
if"
don't know that I would say it's gonna keep you safe, it's gonna keep you familiar.
familiar for your brain
Your
is to stay
body doesn't
safe,
want
right?
to go out.
Right,
You know, your body wants
right.
to have that glass of wine and watch the next version of X-Files or Blacklist or whatever it is that y'all are watching now. I haven't watched TV in years,
I
but
was
you
about
know,
to say, I don't think X-Files is still on, Angela.
I'm old. I'm so old. But you know that but that's the thing, right? I mean, and your body will do that to you. You know, you gotta treat your body like your pet. Stay. No, I'm not going to do that. We're going to
Yeah,
do this. You got to take control. You have to take control. And that those are blockers. Those are the blockers, aren't they?
yeah,
Makes you feel real uncomfortable. But that's okay.
yeah,
You should be. If you're not uncomfortable, you're not doing anything worth doing.
pretty much. Um, so that's one of the ways to always kind of do a self-assessment and see, am I growing? Am I stagnant? Where am I?
Yeah.
Um, so the secrets, do you have a list that you want to go through?
Okay, well, I have a few things. So, of course, we talked about knowing what you don't want. I would tell everybody to write that down. And writing it down is key. Writing
Writing
it
it down
down.
is keys. She means write it down. Don't
I'm
think it.
serious. Yeah, write it down. Write down what you
Don't
don't
pen
want.
to paper, please. If you
Write down what
don't
you
have
don't
a
want.
pen and paper, at least put it in your phone note or something, but go back
Something.
when you get home,
I'm
still
old.
write
I
it
use
down.
this and this. But,
I
you know,
still
whatever
rec
you
I
guys
recommend if you don't if you have to type it now, okay, but I still recommend at some point
Yeah,
writing it down with pen and paper.
I
There's
agree.
nothing like it. It's a part of the manifestation process, y'all.
It
It
is.
really is.
It really is because again, like I said to begin with, everyone has a dominant perceptual modality. It's going to mean more to you if you're a visual person to see it. It's going to mean more to you if you're an auditory person to hear it, verbal person say it, kinesthetic person write it. When you write it down, you're getting the visual, you're getting the auditory, you're getting the kinesthetic, and you're hearing it in your head because you're writing it down. You're getting all of them. It's very powerful to write it down.
It is.
It is extremely powerful, but write down what you do not want and then write down what you do want.
Yes.
and starting out from the don't one is important because then you can like really segue off, okay, well, rather than having a boss that does this, I want to be a boss that does that. Right.
Exactly.
I mean, I want, you can, it really kind of helps the kind of environment and the tasks and, whatever you want to do. And you've got to be really specific. And, and like we talked about, you can, make sure that then once you've gotten it written down, you say, this is what I want. And you write out an intention. Some people call it an affirmation. I mean, you can kind of go into a mini prayer or meditative state or whatever you want to call it and say, can I just have an affirmation of what it would be like? What would it be like? And that's like perfect because if you do that, your frontal lobe, that cortex right there, you say, what would it be like if I had my CRA job or my
Yep.
whatever? And
Yep.
let those visions come to you and write that down, right? Because that's really important too, that visualization. And then you can say, on or before this date, I want to see that,
Yep.
right? And that's really important too, because now you know what that is. It's got to be
Yep.
very clear.
Yep. Yep. And for my people, I tell them to play it out to the max. Like, not only in your career, like what does that look like, but how will you having a CRA job impact your personal life? So if you have kids, with your kids, if you have a partner, your family members, will you now be able to go on trips with them for free because you have, like, you had the 100,000 miles in a month, you have all these miles, right? That you have flights and hotels and car rental points. So then you can go on these free trips with your family. So play that
Exactly.
out. Where would you go? What does that look like to be able to go on these free trips with your family?
It's a really good point. You
Um,
get that balance too, don't you? Yeah.
Exactly.
Hmm.
And then being in a career where now you can maybe grow financially. So what does that look like to now no longer have to live from paycheck to paycheck and to be able to have extra money? So now you can do some of the extra things that you wanted to do, right? So I tell them to play, like, live in that space, play it out, and identify the specific feelings associated with that moment. So you can always tap into it and know specifically the feelings that you want to tap into when you're trying to recreate that, when you have those tough times, because sometimes you're going to be like, this is not working.
I mean, it's like you're Dr. Joe right now. But you're exactly right. It's because what you're doing is you're creating a future memory.
Yes.
And what you're doing is you're living in that future memory and you're telling
Mhm.
your body, this is what I want, right? This is where I want to go. And you know what? Your mind and the divine that lives inside of you is going to get you there if you do it
Exactly.
long enough. And
Exactly.
it's important to be able to do that. And I think it's also important to be the other tip that I would say is I think it's also important to be open to the fact that it doesn't have to be exactly what you're asking for. It can be better than that.
It can. So much better.
Mhm.
Because that in and of itself can be a blocker. Like when
Mhm.
because sometimes we limit ourselves too, because you can only think as big as your thoughts will let you, right?
And you don't know what you
You
don't
don't
know.
know what you don't
Yeah,
know. So you always have to keep space and room for bigger and better and more. And that's
I
what that
agree.
does.
Yeah, I agree. And it's like saying, no, instead of saying I want to weigh 135 by the New Year's, no, I want to weigh 135 or less. Or I want to be a CRA or something better. You got to be open to what the possibilities are. But here's your minimum. Here's your bar, right? Set your
Right.
bar. I want to do this or something better.
Right. And oh my God, where is it? I put it up. Um, it's this Have you read The Power of Intention by Wayne Dyer?
No,
Dr.
I
Wayne
want to write
Dyer.
that down too. Power of
That's
intention.
another really, really good one. I
I'm going
just
to read
finished.
both of these before we get back together again.
That would be impressive. Well, Atomic Habits is not that big, but the Power of Intention is like 300 something pages, I think. Um, and I'm gonna mess up this quote. I'm not even gonna try. I think it was by Michelangelo, but he said something like, "It's better to set the bar high and fail than to set it low and to reach it."
I totally agree. It's
Something
like,
like that. Don't
yeah,
quote me,
it's
y'all.
I tell my team members whenever they join, not my CRAs, but my team members internally, my recruiters, I say, if you're thinking about If I were to tell you, and this, of course, you think about 9/11, everybody knows the World Trade Centers. If I tell you that I want you to jump from the ground floor to the 12th story of the trade centers today, you're going to go, this woman's on crack. She doesn't know what she's talking about. But if I tell you that I want you to take it step by step by step by step by step and go up 12 steps, can you get there? Of course you can. To me, it's that kind of that same concept, wouldn't you think?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. No, I agree. Um, and I don't want people to feel overwhelmed by what we're saying or feeling like, oh God, how am I going to control my? Because if you've never really sat down and thought about all the stuff we're bringing up, it can be overwhelming, right? It can be even mind blowing because it's like, I know I want to be a CRA. I know I want to be an entrepreneur. I know I want to start a business. So it can't be my thoughts because I know that's what I want. So you can't tell me that it's my thoughts, right? I haven't gotten there, but I know it's not my thoughts because I know that's what I want. But you have to like take a pause and take a moment and take a break and really ask yourself, like, yeah, you're saying that, but do you believe that it can actually happen for you? And do you believe that this can be your world in your life?
Well, and
That's
the
what
other
it boils down
question
to.
too is, what do you think that means?
Exactly.
And are, have you done the pro and con list? Because, we didn't really talk about, if you weigh okay, so let's say I want to be Twiggy and I only want to weigh 108 pounds, right? Okay, well, what does that mean? Are you now healthy? Are you, I
Right.
mean, it's for the highest good.
Right.
You always have to tack on for the highest good,
Right.
because some things you want to do are not for your highest good. And I don't care how hard you try and how hard you pray for it, it ain't going to happen, because the divine's not going to let it, because it isn't for your highest good.
Right. Or if it does happen, then you're gonna see how it's a goal you really shouldn't have
Yeah,
had, or it wasn't in your best
agreed.
interest. And then you'll self-correct as well. But
Mhm.
I that's another thing I always ask people is every action that you take or you want to take, ask yourself why. Like you said, why? What is the intent behind that goal? Why do
Mhm.
you want to weigh 108? Because it could just boil down to trauma from your childhood and somebody constantly talking about weight or making size a big deal, right? And you really don't, that's not even your true goal. It's just some trauma that you needed to work through, that could be
Agreed.
the real thing.
Agreed. Because I'm gonna, like, be a spoiler alert here. Everybody's true goal, I think, is to be joyful.
True.
So what's the real answer to that? Is 108 pounds going to get you there? Or is
Exactly.
that going to prove to your mama that you're not fat anymore?
Right. And no, and seriously, you have to ask yourself, because even with
They're hard questions.
the CRA goal or the CTM goal or just being in the industry in general, right? People come to me, oh, I want to be in the industry so bad. Do you? Like, why do you? Is it because you heard that this is a fast, quick way to make some easy money? Or is it because you have a passion for science and medicine and research and, or you have a passion for helping, whatever. But thinking about because if it's just because you want to make the fast, quick, easy money, this is not for you. You're not going to make it. You don't want to do this. But you
Well, and
always
there are a
have
lot
to
of
ask
other alternatives that you can take. If you
so
guys
much,
haven't
so
read The
much
Cash
more.
Machine, read The Cash Machine. This is something that my partner and I read way back in the day whenever we whiteboarded our options for building a business. Because there's a lot of ways to make money. And what that book does is it kind of breaks down, it helps you break down what your skills are and what you know and where you think you might be able to make your money. Maybe it's being a CRA, but maybe whenever you really do that self-assessment, maybe it's something else. And so you really, to me, it's about going after what it is that you love. I'm
Yeah,
telling you, building a business is hard. It, even if you're just being a 1099, it's hard. You
yeah,
got nobody to back you up. No one's paying your benefits. No one's making sure that you got a next job to go to or a next project to go to or anything like that. You are on your own ish outside of the divine, right? You got to make sure it's something that you really want to do. And
yeah,
if it isn't, then it's going to be a lot harder. If
yeah,
there's passion there, it's going to be a lot easier.
yeah, yeah. Passion always makes things. what on the outside looks grueling. For some reason the passion takes that edge off and you can
Mhm.
get through it.
Yeah.
But without it, this is not the industry. Trust me, like you said, try something else. Get this book. I haven't read that one. I'm gonna look at that one.
Yeah.
Um
The Cash
Someone said,
Machine. Yeah,
yeah,
it's
the
a
cash
newer one, but
machine.
it's good. Yeah.
I'm gonna get that one. I think LinkedIn says it's Pearl. Pearl says, exactly, Jasmine. It's not your thoughts because I do want to be a CRA. And that's what I think, especially like when we had our first coaching session and people came up with those thoughts. I don't know if you heard of the model, but Brooke Castillo uses it. She started the life coach school, and it's just a tool that it's essentially like kind of like CBT, like behavioral therapy kind of techniques, how like your thoughts ultimately create your results. And she just kind of took that and made her own little thing. So
Love it.
she broke it down into like your circumstances, your thoughts, your feelings, which leads to your actions, which creates your results. So we played out a bunch of these different like unintentional thoughts that people had, and then we shifted into an intentional thought that was in line with their goals, and how their actions and their feelings and everything was so different. Same circumstance, but just a different thought. So for Pearl, I would say, I know you think that it's not your thoughts because you do want to be a CRA. Trust me, I get it. There's goals I have now that I haven't reached, and I'm like, I know I want it. But you have to always check yourself, and it requires a level of honesty that a lot of us have, unless you're intentionally working on yourself, you haven't faced yet. But you have to get real, 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 real honest with yourself and ask yourself, is that the case? Because your results will always tell you what your thoughts are. And if you aren't where you want to be, then you have to go back to your thoughts. You
You
have
are
to.
so smart, and I just love that. I think the only thing that I would add is where are your thoughts coming from?
Where are they coming from? Because,
Because they're not coming from you.
right.
I'm going to tell you right now, you guys are not like creating these thoughts. There's not a person on this podcast right now that's creating a thought. It's coming from somewhere. We're all connected. It's coming from somewhere.
Yep. And it's it's kind of hard, right? If you haven't experienced it, where you've taken the time to intentionally sit down and do the inner work. And you
Mhm.
kind of think it's like just woo woo, like Angela and Jasmine is in La La Land. They don't get it because they got,
They
they
live in a different universe because they're
right,
successful now.
right, like whatever. You don't get it, Angela and Jasmine. But no, seriously, like I haven't always been where I am. You haven't always been where you are. And these are the secrets. I think people think that the secret is like a magic wand, but
I
it still requires some effort and energy on your part,
It
right?
definitely does, and I love the term that you used, inner work, because that's really the key. You have to wake up each day and you have to establish who you no longer want to be. And Joe will talk to you about this, who you no longer want to be, and then set your attention for the day. And then you have to revisit that all day long. I mean,
Okay.
you can't set an intention to be joyful. And I love this because I was watching one of his programs last night on the online course, and he was actually speaking to a church, which made me even, I mean, I like belly laughed, right? But he's like talking to this church, and he's talking about the fact that where you do this morning meditation and you talk about who you no longer want to be. I no longer want to be weak. I don't want to be victimized. I don't want to feel like I'm getting rejected. I don't want, whatever it is that you don't want to feel anymore. I want to be this person. I want to be a CRA. I want to be successful. I want to be healthy. I want to be joyful. I want to be whatever. And then you get out of this morning, whatever you establish this intention for, and then you're driving to work and you're like, somebody cuts you off and you're like flipping them off and you're like, it's like you can't go unconscious. You got to be on your guard all the time to
All
become
the
the person
time.
that you want to be.
Yeah.
You have to consciously think about it, of who it is that you want to be, and you have to start modeling that behavior. You want to be abundant, act abundant. You want to be healthy, act healthy. Would a model eat cheesecake if she wants to weigh 108 pounds? You got
Yes.
to act like that person, don't you?
Right. And in the same with the health thing, don't like yes, we might, you might have something that's going on, like a condition or whatever, but don't let that then become you and your identity. So
Your
every time
identity.
you meet somebody,
Mhm.
oh, I was just diagnosed with this, or oh, I have this or that. My grandmother's like that. She introduces herself with all her illnesses, and it's
I think
like,
that's a Southern old lady
I
thing.
think so. It's like, okay, I just said, how are you doing? I didn't think we
See,
were
I don't
done
even ask anymore.
yet.
I don't ask, "Hey, sweetheart, how you doing today?" "Well, I didn't sleep well last night."
Right, and that is the opposite of where the energy that you're talking about. Because when
Yep,
you mentioned the gratitude, that is one of the best ways
yep,
to stay on that higher vibration, higher
mhm,
energy level, being grateful. And if you set the intention, like you said, to be joyful, it's always a choice. When the person cuts
yes.
you off, you might want to flick them off. You might want to do a lot of things, but just go back to, nope, I said I'm going to be joyful today, and that's what I'm going to be.
That person might not even know they cut you off.
They probably didn't. They were
And you have
probably
no
in
idea
their
what their
phone.
journey is. Maybe they got
Right.
a wife in the back seat that's about to have a baby, for God's sakes. I
Have
mean, you
no clue, right?
have no idea.
No clue. Meanwhile, we're thinking they did it on purpose.
Yeah,
They're
it's all
trying to,
about you.
right,
The
you're trying to
universe
ruin
is
my
here.
day. Right. And the same thing with career is like the recruiter not responding. Oh, they're just awful. They don't, care about us and the people. It's all about them, or nobody wants to give me a chance. Like, don't take it there. Like, for all you know, maybe they didn't even see your message.
I
Like,
saw a note today from a gal that signed up for our email course. And I, of course, whenever I see those come through, I always pull them into their profile. If they don't have one, I'll go find them and create a profile because I know they're looking usually if they sign up for our course. And she's someone that's been working with one of our lead recruiters, Natalie. And Natalie, I would take a bullet for that girl. She is so freaking awesome. And so she's working with Natalie and she told Natalie off because back in April, she went through the process and she's fully qualified, but for her therapeutics, and you know that sometimes it's a waiting games, right? For her therapeutics and what she's looking for, we just haven't had anything yet. And she actually reached out and said, "Well, you guys, y'all are a disappointment. Y'all are supposed to be in front of me. You should have found me something by now." I mean, it was just like this real nasty note. And I was like, whenever I was looking at it, I was like, this is like getting cut off in on the highway. I mean, it's like I'm driving down 285 in Atlanta, and this person cuts me off because I'm just driving down 285 in Atlanta. I'm minding my own business, right? But it's kind of that same thing, right? It's like, you're frustrated internally and then you're pushing it out externally, and it's like exactly what we talked about with the blockers last week. If you're waiting for someone to fix you, you got a problem.
you got several problems.
And you need to fix it. And you cannot be a business owner if you're waiting for someone else to fix your problem. You can't.
And you can't have a successful, and when we say business owners, for those aren't listening, whether you have a LLC, S corp, or you're a W-2 employee, you are a business owner because you're owning your own career. You have to think of it like that. I can't believe um she said that.
Well, and Natalie, God love her. I mean, I really do. I love Natalie. I love all my team members. I feel like, they all have a little place in my heart. But Natalie, she called her and she explained to her, "Hey, if I've got nothing for you, I'm not going to reach out to you because I don't want you to feel spammed. I mean, why am I going to like call you 50
Right.
billion times a week whenever it doesn't fit?" And I know a lot of agencies do that, right? And so said the gal seemed fine, but I was thinking to myself, so to me, this gal is not equipped to handle the rough roads yet.
It doesn't sound like it.
You gotta do the inner work because here's the deal. People are gonna die in your life. Sorry. You're gonna get rejections. So sorry. You're gonna get sick. Absolutely sorry. Life is life. We're on this earth to go through those things, and you got to figure out how to navigate it gracefully. And blaming other people for it ain't the process.
It's not.
You've got to do it yourself.
It's specifically to blame the person who's trying to help you, and think, what is that supposed to be, motivation for Natalie to get her a job? Like, if you just think about it from a logical,
Like
rational,
we just make them up. I have a silver wand. Where's my wand? I want to borrow my
right?
wand. So,
And then, like, what was that supposed to be? Like,
yeah.
I don't know. That's another thing you have to think about your goal again. She wants to get a job. So taking that approach, I don't see how she could possibly think that was helpful.
She went unconscious. She allowed her blockers of being rejected, being defeated, feel maybe she doesn't feel good enough. I don't know, whatever they are,
Maybe she
but
needs
she
money real
allowed
bad or
those to,
something.
yeah. And it's a self-defeating habit pattern. We talked about it last week, but that's a prime example of it. And you have to be conscious. You got to be thinking about your goals. Your grateful list is going to be what gets you there. You do your grateful list at least once a day. It's going to
At least
help.
once a
It's going to
day.
help.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
say at least try to at least point out 3, not the same things that you said yesterday and the day before, but 3 new things on a daily basis at least of the things that you're grateful for.
I tell people to
Um,
do it for 10 minutes nonstop. Set a
that
timer.
that's good. That's good. And you know when I say the 3 things, people have a hard time just coming up with 3 things.
Yeah, but do it for 10
Um,
minutes and you don't take the pen off the paper. And again, I'm old, y'all. Do it here.
and
10
if
minutes.
you're a beginner, start even if you start with 15 seconds, 30 seconds, work your way up to 10 minutes. But something is gonna do you a lot more service than nothing.
I'd push
Um,
for 10 because it's going to raise that elevation in your brain, the brain waves so that you're attracting the people that are at that level. You know, you're at the whole drum, let me blame everybody for my sorrow level. That's who you're attracting. It's a law of attraction.
yeah,
You're at that gratitude level. You're attracting people who are at that level.
yeah.
I would push for 10. I hear what you're saying, but I would push for 10 because then you're going to elevate that memory. It's hard. Sometimes it's hard, y'all, but don't not do it just because it's hard. I mean, do it. It's like trying to train for a marathon. Yeah, it's hard. But if you want to
I
run a marathon, you got to train for it.
I agree 100%, 100%. But just for the people that are, the babies, and they heard you say 10 minutes, they're like, "What? Is she crazy? I'm not like wait enough to do this. That's a long time." Don't make that an excuse to not do it. You can work your way up to 10 minutes.
Mm.
Like, don't just say, "Well, I'm not doing it." Um, let me see. I think this is Pearl again. She says, honestly, I've been a CRC for 13 years trying to become a CRA, and I'm one class, I'm assuming away from getting my doctorate. I'm finally at the place to give it all up and get my CDL and become a truck driver to remove the chase in the CRA dream. Too many
Aw.
gatekeepers. It should not be that difficult to become a CRA. Something is wrong with this system if we're talking honestly, Jasmine. I've been doing breath work and reading every book you can think of, even the fifth dimension book, etc. It shouldn't be that. It looks like it cuts you off, Pearl. It looks like you're going to say difficult. Um, and I feel for you. I can hear. Can't you hear her pain?
Mhm. I can.
Um, I can, but I will point out that's how I know it's your thoughts because even in that one statement, you said, I'm finally at the place to give it all up. You're one class away from your doctorate, and now you're talking about getting your CDL license. And then you said too many gatekeepers. You're chasing the dream. All of those have negative connotations. You also said it shouldn't be that difficult. Something's wrong with the system. All of those things, when you just say those things independent and of themselves, they can't make you feel good. They can't be
Mhm.
serving you. They can't be helping you get to your goal. So that's what I mean when I say your thoughts will always tell you the truth. And everything that you just said there, that says, no, this is exactly why it's creating these results. So, for example, to change the one thing that you said about it should not be that difficult to become a CRA, it doesn't have to be. And it doesn't have, and when I say it doesn't have to be, think about every thought as a choice. So I always tell people to ask yourself, is this thought helping me? Is it serving me? Is it helping me reach my goal? If it's not, you got to get rid of it.
Mhm.
And how do you know if it's helping you? Ask yourself, how does it feel? Your feelings will never lie.
You innately know.
You innately know. So if
Mhm.
you feel like crap saying it, even reading it, you heard Angela say, oh, I
Well, and here's the
almost
other thing
wanted to
too. If you
cry.
haven't read Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, I mean, it's old, but it's dated. But the values are there, and
It is.
he talks about this group that was digging for gold, and they gave up. They gave up, And then this other person bought the gold mine. This was way back in the day, the gold rush in the West. Somebody else bought the gold mine and they found gold just like that. You know, they
Just
were
like
6 feet
that.
away from gold. You're that close. But to Jasmine's point, it's about a mindset change. If you're chasing, that means they're running from you. And that means in your
Exactly.
mind, they're running from you. You've got to attract them. You don't have to chase anybody. If your mind is set the right way, and perhaps you just need some coaching to help you get there, and it wouldn't take much. It sounds like you've done all the work.
It
You're
does.
qualified. You just need to shift. It's a little
It's
shift.
a little shift.
Yeah, just to get it to the point to where you're attracting it rather than chasing it. No
Yep.
one wants to be chased, right? I
Nobody.
will if a bear chases me, I'm running from it. But if a bear looks like it's injured and it needs my help and it's laying there and it's all pitiful, I'm gonna go cuddle the damn thing. I mean, I'm gonna go see what I can do to help it,
I
right?
don't know if I don't know, Angela. I don't know. Maybe if it's a cub.
But you see what I'm saying? You're not gonna run from it though, right? I mean, you're gonna
Right.
like
Then yeah, I won't be running. You're right. Nobody wants to be, even if it's like a cute cuddly thing, nobody really wants to be chased by that either, right? I mean, nobody, you're right. Nobody wants to be chased, but
Yeah.
thinking about it in a different way. So, for example, instead of saying something about chasing your dream, you could flip it into my dream comes to me naturally, my dream comes to me easily. CRA recruiters,
They see
I
my
attract
value and they
right,
understand my history and
right,
my energy is so positive and I'm so excited and loving blah
right.
blah blah, you know.
Right. But stay more in that energy of I attract CRA recruiters, you attract CRA recruiters with ease.
Mhm.
And if you could just stay in that energy, then and the thought of like something is wrong with the system. And you said if we're talking honest, you're right. There's so many things wrong with the system. So you're right.
But you have no
You're
control over that. Control what you
right.
can control.
Exactly. Exactly.
Mhm.
You're right. And you have no control, like Angela said. So what are you going to do about it? Because trying to take on the whole system right now is going to be so much harder than you making that mindset tweak.
And here's
And
the other thing to think about. If it's here, you're going to have the same problem whenever you
same
become a truck
problem,
driver.
same problem. I was just about to go there. It's not about the industry, y'all. It's about your mindset. So it doesn't matter where you go, you're still taking that same mind. You're going to have the same problem.
Yep.
The same problem. And for you specifically, Pearl, I just hate to hear your story. Please send me a DM because you've been a coordinator for 13 years. Like, we don't even have to see your resume. We know you're qualified.
It's really just a matter of determining what the real issue is, and
It
maybe you're
is.
going down the wrong path to solve it, but ask for help. And I appreciate you being here and asking for help.
I do
Let's
too.
go
And I
figure it out.
appreciate your honesty and your
Mhm.
transparency because that's the first step, right? A lot of
Mhm.
people are too scared to speak up,
Especially women.
especially women. And Alicia
Yeah.
says, I'm attracting the right people now. It's only a matter of time. I
There
love
you
that,
go.
Alicia.
I love that.
That's a really good one.
Mhm.
A really, really, really good one. Oh, I done missed several. Um,
We got
I did.
Randall, bless him. He
I
let me like
did.
red mark up all of his cover letter and resume for him. God love him.
Mars says the greater danger for most of us lies not in setting our aim too high and falling short, but setting our aim too low and achieving our mark. Yep,
Yeah, there is that.
100%.
And can I say something about that real quick before, because
Yeah,
I don't want to miss Jesse's. But here's the thing: when you're setting a goal, you need to think. There's two things you need to think about, and you need to rate them on a scale of 1 to 10. On a scale of 1 to 10, how desirable is that goal? So let's say that I say I want to weigh 108 pounds. If my desirability is like, I don't know, 7, chances are good that's not it. But here's the other thing. How likely is it that I'm gonna win? You know, how achievable is that goal? Because if the achievability is like a 4, then why am I wasting my time on it? You have to have a desirability and achievability at least 8 or above in all of these, because it's stair steps. It's like what we were talking about with trying to jump from ground floor up to ground 12 on the trade center buildings. You know, no human that I know of can do that, right? But you can go step by step. So let's talk about what you can do as it relates to your desirability and your achievability. You got to put a lot of energy behind a goal to make it happen.
you do.
right? And
And the
so,
right
but
energy.
exactly. And it needs to be attainable, or that energy is going to fizzle out because you're going to get defeated. And so if you can't really, really want it and really, really think you can achieve it, then you're not going to go for it. It's the reality of it. So I just wanted to do that segue because I think it was important at the time, but
Yeah,
I
I
think
agree.
everybody needs to think about that whenever they're setting goals and
I
set that
agree.
1 to 10 for each.
I
Mhm.
agree. I agree 100%.
Mhm.
No, those were very great points. And Jesse says in Atomic Habits, the author explains that people can't develop habits and by extension attain their goals, not because they don't want it badly, but because they don't have the proper systems set in place to develop the habits that they want to develop so they can achieve their goals. Look deeply at your systems and see where they can improve to help develop the habits you want. And that's how you make a habit stick. Good
Mm.
points.
Well, let's talk about habits there for a minute. So, and Joe Dispenza would say, 'cause I'm hot on this right now, right? Because I've been like totally engrossed in
Me
all of this
too.
stuff. But
I listen to
habit,
it in the shower too.
your alarm gets off. You get up out of the same side of the bed every day. You get up, go to the bathroom, use the bathroom. Go wash your face the same way you do every day. You go turn on the coffee maker the same way you do every day. You get groomed the same way you do every day. You get in the car and you drive to work the same. That's a habit. You guys want something different? You got to do something different. You got to do something different. That's your systems, right, Jesse? I mean, that's the habit patterns. You cannot do, and Einstein said this. What is it that he said? It's like craziness. Craziness is doing the same thing every single day and expecting a different outcome.
Oh, insanity.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's it right there. I mean, you can't, you got to change it up, guys. You got to change it up. If something, Zig Ziglar said this, do the same thing the same way and you're going to get the same results every single day. Come on, you guys, you got to change it up. If you're not getting the results you want, change it up.
Yep.
Do
And
something
that goes
different.
back to what Jesse was saying with the systems. I think it
Yep.
also aligns with Dr. Dispenza when he talks about 95% is um the subconscious.
Already
And only
programmed in.
5 yep,
Hmm.
and 5% is only conscious. So going back to what Jesse said about the systems, that's why it's so important that you are really focusing on having these intentional thoughts because most of the time you're just operating on autopilot. But
Yeah.
you don't have to worry about it if you've intentionally preset your autopilot
Hmm.
settings.
Yep. Agreed.
So think about it that way. That was a good point, Jesse. And then Alicia says, my goal is a director position. I've had director offers, but the location is not right.
Mm.
Mm.
I'm surprised. I'm thinking that, especially post COVID, people don't care as much where you're
Yeah,
located.
that's
Well, you just hang in
interesting.
there, baby girl, because that's and I don't know. I mean, I think a lot of companies. I don't know who if you're going directly to the company or if you're working with a recruiter, but it seems to me that a lot of companies more and more they just need the right talent. And if you're able and willing to travel in for a certain period of time, then once they fall in love with you, perhaps they would be able and willing to allow you not to travel in as much as you are. And I don't know, I don't know what those thresholds would be as to whether or not it's a couple times a month at first or what have you. But the skill is the skill is the skill, whether they see your bright and shining face. To me, I mean, since we've started this business in 2008, I have never hired someone that had to work from a brick and mortar.
Yeah, that's interesting,
Mhm.
Alicia. Was it at the site, maybe a site director position? But the industry, like you said, is hugely remote.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Mhm.
And then Alicia also says it takes a lot of late nights and early mornings to get to a certain level
It
of
does.
success.
And it's the late night and early mornings. Let me make sure I'm clear, Alicia. For me, the late night and early mornings isn't work. It's not on email. It's not creating proposals. It's inner work. It's working on you and your goals and your success failure list and what did you do well and what didn't you and how could you have handled this differently, and because that's really the key of being a really solid business owner, and is that success failure list every night. I mean, you create a T chart. Here were my successes and here were my failures, and you rewrite those failures. If I get those failures tomorrow, this is how I would handle them.
Exactly.
That inner work is critical. That's your late night and early
Critical.
morning.
Critical.
Mhm.
And one of the things that I have everybody working on, so I do career plans, I'll do self-marketing plans, but the belief plan is something that we work on in the very beginning. And you have to constantly, like you mentioned, that inner work. When you have a belief plan, you know what you're
Mhm.
going to be working on in the morning, what you're going to be working on at night before
Yeah.
bed. So you got to always, like, we're not just saying this because we think it sounds good. Like, we live by it.
We do it.
We
Yeah.
do it. Um, Serene says valuable information for any individual traveling through
Yeah.
life. Oh, thanks.
Thank you for any field, by the way.
For any field. Randall says learning to love the process helps exactly. Exactly, Randall. And that's the type of thoughts that and the mindset that you want to have going into it. Because constantly focusing on rejection is it's just not helpful, y'all. Even though it might be 100% accurate, it's just not helpful.
Well, and here's the thing, the divine knows a lot more than you do. Whenever I was rejected multiple times early on in my career, it broke my heart. I was like, "Am I not good enough? I know I'm good enough. What the heck? I mean, what's going on?" Right? But then, whenever I look back on it, I'm like, thank God I didn't get that job because of the successes that I have
Yep.
had based off of the other acceptances that I have had and the
Yep.
things that I learned through those rejections. It's gold, you guys. Embrace them, learn from them.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly. Let's see what else. Pearl says, "Got it, ladies. Thank you." Alicia says she feels it in her bones. I think she was referring to her statement about I'm attracting the right people now. It's only a matter of time. Pearl says, "What email should I send my?" You can DM me on LinkedIn. Um,
The
and
other
then
thing too is if you're looking to just build a profile in our database, send a resume to recruiting at craresources.com and say, Angela said that I should send my resume so that you could build a profile for me. And they'll do it. And then that will help because if we have anything that comes up, we'll also monitor you. What we do is we stalk you. No, we'll monitor you and whenever you continue to progress in your career, because while we only represent individuals that are CRAs at a certain level or above, we still are very interested into those that are trying to break into the field because you're eventually going to break into the field and we want to work with you. So send it to recruiting at craresources.com and just send an email. You can go to our website and to the contact page and just send it and say, Angela said, I was on the live last night. Angela said, send it. You're going to build a profile. We'll create a profile for you and we'll stay in touch. Okay. The other thing too is you can sign up for our blog. There's a blog page on our website and you can sign up for that and you'll get emails from me like clockwork. It's on our regular campaign that goes, and then you can stay in touch with everything that's going on. You'll see all the posts and everything like that as well. So
yeah, that's some good information. That's really good.
sorry, I
Um,
didn't mean to plug the company there, but
no, no, that's good. That's really good information. And my prediction is, I know now you mostly work with like the people that have experience. But I really think that it's like going to be a huge shift in the industry because if you think about like the older like vet CRAs, they're about to retire. It's going to be a huge wave of them.
yeah.
And then there's the people that are just burnt out. So there's going to be that wave. And then what? They're going to have to like bring in all these new entry level CRAs. So I feel like that's about to shift.
Well, and I think it's been shifting for years actually. And what we've done is we've actually shifted to where if you're close, and close is a relative term, we all of our interviews are competency based. So we haven't done the how many years you've done it based in a really long time. We're more concerned about your competency and we go through the competency questions and we'll go to bat for you if you're slightly underqualified. Now, seriously underqualified is a different story, and we talked about that last week. But slightly underqualified, you've got some really good foundations, and you're getting there, and we're happy to go to bat for you if you've got the competency, because you could have 13 years as a CRC and only 6 months as a CRA, and you're ready to tackle the world, and we're happy to represent
Yeah.
you for that.
Yeah. Yeah. That was a good point too.
Mhm.
Um, this is Pearl again. She says, I appreciated the gold mine story. Don't let someone else take the gold that is rightfully yours. Keep going, Pearl. Absolutely.
There you go.
Absolutely. Please don't quit because
Don't
we
give
are
up,
too
baby
slow.
girl. Yeah,
Yeah.
just shift your gears if you're not getting what you want. If you feel like it's a divine, I mean, I talked to my husband about this. I just can't believe that this is not something that God wants me to have. I want it too much. So I'm not going to give up. I'm just going to figure out how else to get it,
That's
right?
it, right? That's it. Y'all don't know how many times I wanted to give up on coaching because it's like a huge different thing for me. I've always been the person that try to hide and like help people from behind the scenes. But then I realized like, that wasn't a good strategy. You can't really touch enough people if you're trying to hide, Jasmine. Because I always said I didn't. That's why I went into science. That's why I started at the bench. Because I knew you like stay in the lab, you don't talk, you're hiding. And I have that like introvert personality, and like everything I do now is so opposite of how I was before. Like I never thought I would coach. I always said I would never have a business. Like I don't want to do the admin stuff, like all of that. But here I am today, right? Doing the completely different opposite, just because I opened up my mind and I also asked the questions that you talked about. Because, yeah, I wanted to be a CRA and climb the industry, but also God had a different, greater, bigger plan for me. So I had
And
to
he
open
will
up my
not leave
mind.
you alone until you are on the right path.
Will not leave you
Will
alone.
not.
And it's funny because all the resources have just magically, they seem magically, of course I've done some things, but they pop up. So you don't know, Pearl, you don't know how many times I, even on my CRA journey, how many times I wanted to quit. But I bring up coaching just because it's more recent. And it's like constant, like I have to remind myself, grow growth is is not comfortable.
But that's
And
the point. Yeah.
it
It's not. I agree with you. You know how many times I've wanted to quit this business, but I own the business. How do you quit a company that you own whenever you employ so many people?
right?
And
And
I
you
hope
have
none of
people
my team members are
depending,
hearing me because I don't want them to
right?
think, "Oh my god, she's gonna leave the business." Because that's the thing. Everybody goes through it. Everyone does.
Everybody, everybody, regardless of what level, what position, um, everybody. And that's something I also remind myself too, that this is normal. This is a part of the process.
Well,
So
it's
don't
part of
beat
the
yourself
divine
up. It
process.
is.
You guys, we were put on this earth to achieve a goal and to overcome challenges. The challenges that you're overcoming right now are by divine inspiration. They're not because you've manufactured it. It's because God's engineered your circumstances to put you where you are right now. So you have to overcome them in this role, or you're going to overcome them in the next role. Or if you give up, then you're going to overcome them in the next role.
Yeah.
This is temporary. This is like the way I like to explain it to people that I coach is this is like a movie theater. This is not real. This is temporary. We all know that 70, 80 years, we're gone. This is temporary. You're set here to achieve a goal. Go for it, you guys. What you got to lose? You got nothing to lose. You got everything to gain. Go for it.
Yep. Yep. I agree 100%. And then also to the movie analogy, if you also think about like with movies, scenes change, right? So one minute everybody's sad and down, next minute somebody hit the lottery, the next minute, like they go in phases. So
You
also
ever
think
notice
about,
that music always dictates what the person the
yes, and then it makes you might even be feeling a different way, but the music comes on and then all of a sudden you're swayed and
It's like
but that's how it is, like with your thoughts too. But no, think about like where you are now is not permanent. I
no.
know it seems like it feels like it. Trust me, I've been there. I might go there, seems like the last few weeks, at least once a week. But you come out of it and then you remind yourself, you go back to your gratitude list, you go back to all the things we're talking about, and you remind yourself, no, like there is something better on the other side. Like this is for me, it's not against me. I always have to constantly say everything is working. So it doesn't matter if the car breaks down, if the power gets turned off, a tree fell on the roof, whatever, the kid is acting out at school, just think about it
It's
from the
all in your
space of
favor.
everything is working.
Yeah,
And I
it's
know it
all in
might
your
seem
favor.
hard at the time. Jasmine is crazy, right? But if you just try to stay in that thought that everything is working, then it takes so much pressure. It relieves so much pressure, and it relieves so much of that stress and anxiety and the fear that usually drives all of those thoughts.
Well, that's really the thing, isn't it? And I'm glad that you said that because you're absolutely right. I agree the same way, is that everything's for our highest good. Now, we may not see it now and we may never see it, but who are we to see it? Let's just go do our best. Let's
Yep.
go work what we think is for the highest good, not be afraid. And I think women have this innate, I don't know if it's like bred into us or not, but we don't take responsibility for our what we've done that's good, our accomplishments and
It's
what we're
definitely
capable of and
definitely
those type.
conditioning.
Yeah, I mean, and being an entrepreneur is one thing and it's hard for anybody, but for women it's even more because, I think that, in a male dominated world, first of all, you got to know your audience. Whenever I was an executive at IBM, I was a completely different person than me being an owner here. I was a lot tougher, a lot
Yeah.
meaner. I made VP cries. I mean, I would like have VPs running out of the room crying. I mean, I don't do that now, right? I don't want to do that now. I mean, I left that industry because it was so tough and because I had to be so mean. And I felt like it was going against me as a person. I don't have to be that way now. And that's where you make choices. That's
Yeah,
where you make goals as to where you want to shift so that you can be the person that you feel is your real person, right? Your real you. But you can't give up. You got to keep going.
you got to. You got to. You can slow down, you can take a pause, you can throw a toddler fit, but don't quit.
Yesterday.
Just don't quit. Just
Yeah.
don't quit.
Yeah.
Um, Mars says in psychology, we talk about self fulfilling prophecy, basically a prediction that becomes true as a result of a person's belief or expectation that said prediction would come true. Therefore, people's beliefs and thoughts influence their actions.
Agree.
100% Mar.
Yeah, I agree.
100%.
Thank you for that, Maura. I agree. Yeah.
Yes. Alicia says, yes, I have to reevaluate on many occasions. And she also said that role didn't have the option for a remote role or even minimal traveling. If they did, I would have moved forward.
Well, they missed out.
Yeah, that's interesting. And that's another thing too, y'all. Going back to what you said, write down what you don't want.
Mhm.
Often refer to them like there's some things that you don't want, but then there's deal breakers where they're absolutely like I have to have this or they cannot have that.
And don't
So
give.
once you establish
Mhm.
those, and it sounds like Alicia for you that was a deal breaker. I don't even review those projections. Honestly, it's just we weren't a good fit
I agree.
because you have to think about on both ends. Are they a good fit for me? Am I a good fit for them? So
I
it sounds
couldn't
like
agree
it
more.
wasn't a good fit, Alicia.
But
Um,
you know what? You're getting the offers. Isn't that
you
awesome?
are, and
Yeah.
that's a sign. That's a sign that you're moving in the right direction.
So if you
Um,
want to send the email to me, Jesse, you already are connected to me, sweetheart. Just send it straight to me and I'll make sure that my team gets it. But if you want to send it directly to our portal, you can go to our website. The website is craresources.com and you can go to the contact page and just fill out the form or just send an email recruiting at craresources.com. Say I sent you and they'll ask me about it in the morning huddle. But you can just send it to me if you want to. Jesse, you're connected, so just send it to me, and I'll make sure that we have a. Actually, I probably created a profile whenever you connected with me, so we might already be good. But you can send me an email if you want to.
and you said recruiting at craresources.com,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep.
I'm trying to put it in the chat in the comments. I hope I spelled that right. I think I did. Um, okay. And then let's see who's next. Oh, Christy says, I wish this session was recorded. You guys are so it is recorded,
It
Chris.
is, sweetie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It is. So you can go back and watch the replay from the beginning. Alicia says, challenges for a testimony for other people to overcome too and not give up. Yeah, that's true.
Mhm.
Um, and I think that's all the comments. Is there anything that we left off of your list? Let me check mine.
Let's see. The only other thing that I have is so I had knowing what you don't want, knowing what you do want. Make sure you go deeper and set your goals. On or before I want. Make sure you don't forget to say I want this or something better. And I want at least. So you don't want to say I want to earn a salary of at least. I don't want to say I want to earn 75,000. You want to say I want to earn at least 75,000. Leave some room for the universe there to work. Make sure you establish a daily methodology of checking and assessing your abilities. The success failure list is what we talked about there. Work through your blockers. Go back and look at that session if you need to. Own your accomplishment. Women, very much so. We give credence to so many people and we don't. Here's the thing. Whenever men are tough in business, men are just tough. When women are tough in business, they're bitches. Get over it. You're a bitch. Be tough. But know your audience, you guys. There's a Par Excel tough, there's a PPD tough, there's a Worldwide Clinical tough, and then there's a small sponsor tough. Learn your audience, learn how to lead. Even if you don't have people reporting to you, learn how to lead. Constantly grow your skills in leadership. It's critically
Constantly,
important. Yeah.
constantly. Because at the very least, you're gonna always lead in one person, which is yourself.
Yep.
So start with yourself. Use yourself as practice.
Yep. The other thing is just understand that, my mama's voice is always in my head, baby girl, you can have everything you want. But what she left out is you can't have it all at once. Maybe you got a family right now, maybe that's more important. It's okay. Be
It's
kind to
okay.
yourself and
Mhm.
the people that love you and understand that it's going to get there. Your prayers are going to be answered. It just might not be today, right? That's okay.
Absolutely. And Mara added some. She said, and don't obsess, take a break, go for a walk, don't get mentally drained.
Agreed.
Absolutely.
I needed that a couple of days ago, Mar.
Those are some good ones. I think we covered most of mine organically. Let me check. Oh, your network is your net worth.
Mm.
My network has been a valuable asset and like connections that you don't even think about leading to something, or not even like just in clinical research, but just connecting, and then realizing that maybe you have the, like with the Joe Dispenza, and now I'm
Mm.
talking about us going to the workshop next year, like
It would
just
be so cool if we did that
it
together.
would be, right? So awesome. But like other things like that, like we get so stuck and caught up in I need a job, I
Mhm.
want a job, that you don't think about all the other beautiful connections that you can
Mhm.
create and like
Yeah,
really, really help you out in other areas of your life. Cause it's not career and then professional. Like it's all intertwined.
I agree.
Can't keep them separate.
Well, it's like what we started out to begin with, what Joe said. Well, maybe we didn't. Maybe this was my discussion with my husband before we got on this. But whenever you're doing something like a Joe Dispenza or whatever, a lot of the people that are going there are trying to heal something. They're trying to like heal eczema or cancer or
Yeah.
whatever, and the ultimate goal is they feel joy. Okay, well, why don't you just feel joy now? If you feel joy now, isn't that the point? It's kind of like the payload. And it's the same thing as if you get that CRA job, are you going to feel joy? Well, how about if you feel joy now with Angela and Jasmine? How about if we like go and have a glass of wine and we talk about all the beautiful things that we love? And then it helps to grow your career from that perspective, backing off and looking at the bigger picture. Is it the job or is it the joy? Is it the career or is it the money? What exactly is it that you're trying to achieve?
Yeah.
I think sometimes that's important.
It is important, and it goes back to what you mentioned about chasing.
Mhm.
And when you're like hanging on to stuff for dear life and you're like so attached to it, that's just another version of chasing. You
Yeah.
have to detach and you have to just surrender to whatever outcome
Yep.
is divinely best for you. You
And
have
it's usually gonna be better when you
it
detach.
it for my experience, it's always been better.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're so attached on this job, you might get that job and it might suck. But if you're detached on a point and a purpose and a process, you might get that job and it'd be beautiful, but you might get something so much
It's
better.
so much better. And it's so
Mhm.
funny you brought that up because I was like, I got to get the CRA job, CRA job, CRA job. I got the job. And then I was like, oh God. What did I do? Because the learning curve, that learning curve hits you. Because it's like, of course, I'm prepared. Like, I've been in this role, I've been in that role. I know this, I know that. But it's just like anything, like before you're a homeowner or before you have a kid or before you, like you hear people say,
It's all
how it
romantics,
is.
right? So,
Right, until you, or before you get married, like you hear people talk about marriages, but you don't know until you've been there for some. You know what I mean? It's like one of those things where you think being a CRA, and don't get me wrong, being a CRA has literally like transformed my entire life, but there were some. It was a steep learning curve, y'all. It was rough sometimes. My very first visit on site, I called my project manager and cried.
oh, I cried more than once at IBM. First 6 months that I was on the Cisco account because we were showing a -1 gross profit. It was such a mess. I cried every day for 6 months.
Wow. And you know, and sometimes y'all, I've been there where it was tough. Like at one point I was doing like 14 days on site in a month, back to back, and not close, not as bad as you, like going literally from the east
It's
to the
all
west of
bad.
the
It's
world.
all relative.
Well,
It's
at least mine wasn't like 24 hours to get there. But they, you know, going from like Florida to Chicago to Texas to New York type of thing in the same week, it can get it can get tough. COVID has kind of saved us a little bit from all the traveling, but it can get tough.
But you know what? You make a really good point. Everybody that's on this call right now is going for a challenge and they're in a tough circumstance. So you achieve your goal. I'm going to do it in the camera. So you achieve your goal. Then you're going to have another challenge.
Another challenge.
And then you're going to achieve that one. And then you're going to have another one. You guys, the challenges don't stop. You know, you got to learn
They
how to
don't.
tackle them and learn how to set your goals and overachieve them. Become confident that you can. Otherwise, it's going to be this churn every single time. Doesn't have to be. Doesn't have to be a churn. It can be joyful. You can be making a difference in the world without it being a churn. You and knowing that the challenge is coming tomorrow. I'm going to wake up tomorrow and I'm going to have a challenge. I know that.
Exactly. Which is goes back to why you can just choose to be happy now.
Joe
You
Vitale.
you got to.
It's Joe
And
Vitale.
then also that's why you also want to get in the practice of being grateful, because
Yep.
there's always going to be a challenge. The only time there's not is when you've passed away and you're gone from this world.
And that's whenever I used to say, I'll sleep when I'm dead.
That's the only time you're not going to have. I mean, I don't know what happens when we leave, but as far as I know, that's the only way that you know, when the challenges leave. And it's I look at it as a good thing.
I do
Um,
too. Yeah. Let's
because
just
if you change your perspective and how you think about it, and think about everything happening for you instead of to you or against you, it really changes like how you move and navigate through the world.
And Mara says, learn to appreciate the challenges or learn to be okay with settling. I agree. Are you going to be a victim or are you going to be a victor? What are you going to be?
It's your choice, right?
It's everybody's choice. It's like, I'm not going to be victimized by this. I'm going to go do something about it.
Yep.
Now, winning is different for different people, but
That's another
don't
thing.
settle, you
But
know?
that goes back to what you always talk about with your goals. Once you've defined your goals, then you know what winning and success looks like for you, which is why you got to start with the goals and the vision. Because,
Yep.
like you said, it's different for everybody.
You got to be clear. You got to be
Got to
really
be
clear.
clear.
Your
Um,
intention at least has to be clear. And then you know what that does is that leads you to be clear this way from a blocker perspective. Because every time you set a goal, every time you're going to set a goal, you're going to have self doubts. You're going to have self defeating habit patterns that block up. Those are blockers. That gives you an opportunity to work through those.
It does. And again, it's normal because your brain, it thinks it's keeping you safe, because your brain is like, oh, this is a challenge. This is going to take you out the comfort zone. This is going to require you to do new things that you haven't done. So your brain thinks it's keeping you safe. So going back to what Angela said, you got to quiet it down.
Yeah.
And I have to do the same thing. Angela has to do the same thing. You got to tell, no, brain.
More than once a day, you guys. Believe me. And I
All
didn't
day
I didn't remember
long.
to turn my light on. It's been a long day, so I apologize. I'm in the dark.
No, it's okay. We can
But
still
no, I
see you.
agree. It's more than once a day, you guys. Jasmine and I do not have this together. I guarantee you there have been tears that have been shed within the last week. I guarantee you we've had meltdowns, and I guarantee you that we've had temper tantrums where our husband wanted to just completely choke us. This is not all beautiful and graceful. This is life.
It's
Welcome
life.
to it.
It is. But the good news is that it's still always working.
Yes, it does.
It's always working through the tantrums and everything. I think we talked about how we're the only ones responsible for our careers, right?
Well, we're responsible for everything that happens to us, period. But that might be a different discussion. Perhaps we can have a law of attraction discussion. We could talk about taking. Oh, I'd love to talk about Ho'oponopono by Joe Vitale.
Oh, I don't know that
Oh,
one.
Zero Limits. Great book by Joe Vitale. I read that this week too.
Oh my God. How do you have all this time?
I don't. Raj is my husband. He's like, "How do you read a book so fast?" I can usually read a book in just a couple of hours.
That is insane. Oh, wow. Oh my God. Well, depending on the book, I guess I could, but the Joe Dispenza book,
Yeah,
that's
it's a bit
like,
scientific. It took me a
yes,
couple of days to get through that one.
I don't even know how you did in a couple days. I feel like I'm gonna have to read it like 5 times just to.
Take the online course. It's $299. Trust me, baby girl. I am like loving. The only thing is that I can't speed it up. So he's like, you know how YouTube you can like speed it up to 2 times? It won't let me speed it up. But
Well, everything we be talking about, Angela, that's divine too. You don't need to speed it up. Slow down. Slow down.
Exactly.
But no, okay, that's good then. I'm gonna sign up for that. As soon as I went and I saw the book, and then I went to his website and then I saw the workshops and I'm like, oh my God, Angela's been holding out.
I am so totally signing up for those. Like I said, we're gonna do this. If September was, I live in Florida. We have hurricanes here, and they have Marco Island down in Florida. I'm not going down there in September. Are you kidding me? There's no way. But
It's real
the
bad.
next U.S. one, I'm going. We're going. Raj and I both. My husband and I. We're both going. So
Well, I want to get in.
yeah, we'll go.
Um,
As soon as they put it on the website, I'll ping you. Start
yes,
coming up.
because it seems
Yeah.
like he sells out fat and justifiably. I can see why. Um, I think we covered everything on my list.
Yeah,
Yeah.
me too. So
Oh, one thing I did leave out, I didn't say, was LinkedIn. Is that the leveraging the power of LinkedIn is another thing that has completely
do
transformed
we
my
want to do like a whole topic on that and how to like have people set up their
I
profiles, or
think
does that
that's
screw with your coaching?
no, I think that's another good thing because at the end of the day, um, people are always gonna need that additional support and help. So I always like to show people that feel like they can do things on their own, give them an opportunity to try things on their own, give them the information that
I
they
love it.
need. And then the people that need additional support, they'll always, reach out.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we can definitely do that too. So we'll connect so we can figure out some more. Alicia already said when you said that this was the last scheduled one. But don't worry, Alicia. We'll figure something else
I
out.
don't
We're
think Jasmine
definitely
and I are breaking up or anything. I think
No,
we're
we're
good. Yeah.
not. We're
Yeah.
definitely gonna do Randall's resume, LinkedIn, do like a live example. We definitely do that. I love the one about also just doing like a separate leveraging LinkedIn one because LinkedIn does so many things and people just think that it's just like a place where you just find a job. And it's like, no, this is so much. This is
It
not
is a lot more.
monster.com.
Yeah.
Yes, so much more. It's a search engine. It's a job search engine, but it's also just a search engine in general where you can like on both ends, right? You have candidates and then you have employers.
I agree.
Um, it's a billboard. I think of it as like a mini landing page, a mini website.
I agree. I
Um,
think it would be a good thing for us to cover for sure.
Yeah, yeah. So we can talk about that. And then also, I don't know about you, but I'm open to suggestions. So if y'all have some topics that you want us to cover, then please drop them in the comments or DM either one of us or both of us. Because sometimes, messages get pushed down and we might miss them.
That's
But
true.
yeah, send us some topics that y'all want to hear.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
I would love it. We'll keep the love going.
Yes, absolutely. So don't worry, y'all. We got you.
Yeah, for sure.
Um,
Jasmine, I love you. It's been fun.
I love you too, Angela. It's always a blast, right? Um, So, any last words, any last secrets or summary, the final tip that you
I
want to
think we're good. I think we got everything off my thing. So I think we're good. I got some books to read. So I appreciate you guys for giving me some list of books.
which you'll read tomorrow? But no, I got a couple too. These are some good ones. So yeah, I love it. Well, awesome. So as always, thanks everybody for joining. Y'all know how we feel about doing these things. We always have a blast. Um, and we will work on getting the next set of series going.
All right. Thank you, sweetheart. I appreciate you organizing this.
All righty, no problem. I thank you for participating. And thanks everybody who also joins us and, chats and,
Participates. Yeah.
participates. We love it. We really appreciate you guys too. So thank you, everybody. All right. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.